All right, so here we go. So we're gonna go over try and accept. So I'm gonna give you guys a couple examples of what try and accept is supposed to fix, and then I'm gonna do that in the shell, and then I'm gonna actually show you how to code it up here because it really only works. I mean, can you do it in the shell? Yeah, but it's better if you do it up in the console. So if we have a list of numbers that's 0, 1, 2, 3, and I want to display nums bracket 5, I'm going to get an error. This is an index error, and that means the list index is out of range. So normally, if you were going to ask someone for an input, so user is input, this needs to be int, input, please enter a number. And I type in 5, and then if I do nums bracket user, I'm going to get an error. So what I would have to do is I would have to go, I could use a while validation loop and go user, while user is greater than or equal to 5, we're going to do user is int input, please enter a number. So if I'm typing, then I can do nums bracket user. Does that make sense to everyone so far? Like, so if I want to make sure, but what if my list is constantly changing length? Well, I can't have that. That's going to get really hard for me to try to code to make sure that whatever they're typing in is less than the length of the list, because the list could change. Could I do while user is less than length of list? Yes, but then I would have to do that every single time. Every time it changes, potentially. All right? I don't want people on YouTube saying, no, you don't. Potentially, people. Potentially. So, what we're going to do with the try and accept will prevent this error from popping up. What if we needed to do user is int? A lot of these are going to have to deal with user inputs. A lot of these, because we want to make sure that whatever the user types in works for our code. So enter a number, and they type in 0. Well, what if I wanted to 10 divided by user? Well, now I have a division by 0 error. So now I got to, again, these are the sorts of things. What we're going to code is going to avoid this. Instead of, like I said earlier, coding around the problem by doing while loops to make sure that what they type in is within our means, what we're going to do is type in whatever you want. We will then check and see if it works. If it doesn't, we'll ask you again. Make sense? Questions so far? All right, what are some more errors we pop up here? These red ones, these exceptions, tracebacks. Do you guys know of any off the top of your head? What if we have user is input, please enter a number. Let's do name this time. Oops. And if we do we do 100 divided by user, well, now we can't do that because what's 10 divided by Zach? Or what's 100 divided by Zach? Error. Right? So these are the sorts of things, and I keep highlighting this word at the very beginning. This is the key word you need to know. Whether it's zero division error, whether it's index error, type error, name error.
Oh, I see. So you would like try to run it with like the wrong thing without the try and accept, and then like whatever error you get, then you want to like use the try and accept with that. Like,
Yes.
Name error.
Yes. So it's not while. There's also else. Of course. Okay. So the book only goes over try and accept. I'm going to throw in 2 other things. So it's while, or try and except, else, and finally. And I'll go over what each one of those are. So let's start. Let's define function 1. And I want everyone to get used to writing things in functions as opposed to just starting to write code. Just because, one, most programs are written with functions, if not classes. I don't think we'll get to classes in this class, just because I want to focus on the automation stuff and yeah, that's just what we're focusing on. So we're gonna start with something pretty easy. I don't like doing straight from the book, but we'll do straight from the book today. So we're just gonna put number, and we're gonna go return. Do you guys remember what return is? So what this allows us to do is, instead of just displaying this information, we can store the result of this equation as a variable. Well, we have like that. Or you can even print it. So, well, why can't we just print it in the function? Well, you can, but that's not what we're doing. So give me a number.
47.
7. And then I heard 47. Give me more than one number, people.
41.
17. 41. What was yours? 42. And then I'm going to put mine in here. 0. So when we run this, it's not student resources. Yeah, it is. So here we go. We have 6, 8.42, blah, 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 1. So now we have a 0 division error. Obviously, this is wrong. So what we're going to do is, inside of our function, we're going to make sure that whatever number, we're going to test this number before we do anything with it. And what we're going to do is we're going to type the word try, and it's like an if statement. The following line has to be indented 1. So we're going to try this. Is there any number besides 0 that we can't divide 42 by? Can we divide 42 by -8? Can we divide it by -10 million? Can we divide it by 1 million? Can we divide it by 0? No. Okay. So we realize that if we divide by 0, we get this 0 division error. So what we're going to do is we're going to try this line. If this line results in this error, we need to do something. So what we're going to do is we're going to type in except, and again, you're going to copy this, the 0 division error, and paste it. Notice it changes color. That means it means something. Put a colon, and then we can print error invalid argument. So then when you run it, we should get, yeah, the none. You guys got all that? So, why do we have none here? It is a type of information. Basically, what it's saying is we never returned something because we displayed this instead. So we have this error invalid argument followed by, well, there's nothing to print, but we don't have an error, so we got to print something, so it prints null. None. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
What you can also do is instead of putting the try and accept up here, I'll put this back to the way it was. You can do it here. So what it's going to do, hang on, let me print fun1 bracket 100. What do you all notice?
Did not go off.
It didn't do the last one. Why is that? Do you have any idea?
It stopped.
As Yeah, as soon as it runs into an error, it ignores everything else and jumps down here. So if you do, the more lines you have in these try and accepts, more likely you're going to skip a couple of them. So I recommend not necessarily having a bajillion lines, but rather, listen, I know here is a place someone can type in something incorrectly and cause an error. I'm going to throw a try right there. Or every time someone types something in, I'm going to put a try to make sure that it is what I want. Does that make sense?
So in that list, as soon as it reaches one that doesn't work, it'll quit trying the ones after it.
Yep. So if I put this, it stops an invalid argument. Now, one thing that the book doesn't cover, but I think is really cool, if you type as E, and then you can do Control N. I haven't taught you guys that yet, so I'm just going to go print error message E. So then it will actually tell me what's wrong. Division by 0, you write it, and now they can see what happened.
What's even?
Well, it's this. So basically what it's saying is take this error. What?
It's like redefining it.
Kind of. It's basically allowing you to take what Python says is wrong, put it as a variable, and display it to the user. So instead of just having, like if I wanted to tell the user what was wrong, I don't necessarily want to go 0. I would rather not have to go well, what if I have more than one error? What if this catches more than one error? I don't know. I think you can just type as error. No. As. No. There was something I thought you could display. I think it is. I don't know. I have to look it up real quick, but I'll do that later. Do you guys have questions so far?
Is there a way to check for any error?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna get to next. So I'm just gonna put try in here, and just so you can see two different ways to use it. But I'm also gonna comment this out. Okay, save that. So now let's scroll down a little bit. So let's say we have user. And that's all the book has for try and accept, by the way. So everything else from here on out is stuff that I either know or I've Googled or it's sitting on my screen over here. What? That's not true. So user, let's just do user is input, please enter a name, and we want to do, no, let's do a number. And let's say we want to say user, no, person has user items. Does that make sense? So we're just displaying how many items the user has.
What if you work with like other errors, like something that they're
If you are you talking about multiple errors?
no, like other than an error that has to deal with the user input, like what if like code error, like the code is done there.
Most errors come from a user, or if you're trying to like automate a process. So, like we're gonna try contacting this website, but if it doesn't connect, we're gonna try again for 5 times, and then if it does, because when you get to trying to connect to a website, if it can't connect, it errors out sometimes. So like I remember, do you guys know Robert, the guy who made the Jarvis thing? Yes, no, maybe so. So he's a senior, and I was talking to him at lunch, and he said he used try and accepts to talk to his lights. So he basically made a smart app to control lights, fans, all that sort of Wi-Fi stuff from one app, as opposed to like I'd open this app to connect to my Spotify, I have to open this app to turn on my lights, I have to open this app to control my Wi-Fi, all this stuff. So he put it all into one. It was pretty cool. So you should find him if you want to talk to him. And what he was using try and accepts for mainly was talking to his light bulbs. He goes about 20% of the time it just wouldn't work. So I would use try and accept to do it a couple times until it had success, and then I would keep going. So yeah, you can use it for stuff like that. A lot of in this class are just going to be, like especially when we get to file names, please enter the file name. If you don't add the .txt to something, you would say, hey, you need to add the ending. You need to add the .txt file extension in order for this code to work. Make sense? Okay. So if user has, person has 10 items. Woohoo! Darn. I typed in a number, but the code was for an integer. So what I would do is, again, in this book, yeah, so they do try and then while true. You can do that. So while you could do, again, how would we determine if this, we want them to type in a number, not a letters. How would you guys and lady prevent them from typing in letters instead of numbers?
Using just a while loop or using try and accept?
You're starting with a while loop.
Say while user, right? While
Yep.
user equals or not equals or like type and then bracket in. So I guess also works as well. So we want that.
Oops. So you're saying do something like this.
Oh wait, actually no, because it already is. And it's the image drive. So we're just already doing it before that.
So this would be really hard. Now we will learn something later in this class that will do some of this for us. But for now, this is a good example of how to use try and accept. What you could do is try the. I would do while. You caught the thing. You caught it. So even if I type in letters, no matter what, I'm going to try to integerize the letters T-E-N. I'm going to get an error. I could, but then what if I'm doing math with this later? Then I have to integerize it.
Well, you can integerize it after the while loop. So you,
Yeah, I could.
Know that it checks whether or not it's integer.
Could.
Or you can try and accept.
That's what we're going to do.
Yeah, I realize that.
It's okay. So while true, we're going to try having them type this in. except I'm not putting an error, so this will catch any error. Except, and then I can print, please enter an integer. And let's make that part of the input. Not gonna lie, that's kind of scared me there. Whatever that noise was. Yeah. Whew. Then I'll get rid of this. And I'll put that here. Or should I put it, where should this print go? After, so like here?
No.
It's probably got the same indent as the accept.
Let's find out.
Actually, wait. Hang on, it's going
I forgot to put something in there. Control C. Oh, you guys want to see something? Actually, I'll show you that to you in a second. What I forget to put it in this while loop? Break. And where would I put that, Adam?
After you know that the user put an integer in, so after he accept loop is closed, so
Here?
No, wait. Indent it one last time. No, sorry. Like put break on the same like parallel to accept. Yeah, like this.
I don't know. Where I think we're not putting it in the right spot. When do we want the loop to stop?
When you put an integer in.
When they put an actual integer in. Where do we know 100% that they have successfully typed in a number that we want?
100 try.
After try.
Yeah.
Like
After they no, like after.
like here? So if we type in
I put it after where it was originally after the accept, and it worked.
you put it here?
Yeah, right here.
Is it indented one or no?
Yeah.
It's indented once?
Yeah.
So if we type in 10 and then 10, we're still getting the same error. Where do you guys think it should go?
After both. Go after wait.
After both. That's like having while x is 10 and then immediately having a break, which is basically an if statement.
Oh, wait, could we go after the user statement underneath the try? So
You're saying here?
Yeah, it should go right there.
We tried that though, right? Put it back one under where it is.
Do we need user here? Because we keep getting, if I type it in twice, we keep getting an error in here. Is this where we should be asking the user to try it again? Because it kind of seems like we're going to have a never-ending. Oh, well, now we have to have a try here. And we don't want that.
the loop over again.
Yes. So,
How do you try loops work? Just run it once?
well, you guys remember break and continue?
Yeah.
Yeah, so break jumps out of a loop no matter where you are. Continue starts the loop over.
Does break go out just once or all the way out?
It jumps out of whatever loop it's in. So it just jumps one layer up. It's like Inception.
That's only jumping out of the try loop, so if you go back once, it will jump out of the while loop. But then I'll have the error message that says
Correct. So you could do except. What would the error be that we would want to code for, Stockton? What?
please enter. Oh,
Right, so what would the name of that be?
value error.
Value error. So we copy this and go accept, paste. If we want to do as E, we can. And then print error. Please enter an integer. And then just because it's always easier. So there's one of two things that can happen. Like in doing IT, I've gotten my share of an unspecified error has occurred. Thank you very much. I know that much has gone wrong. But it's like I need more. So if you just put E and you run this and we get what? What does that even mean? Invalid literal for int with base 10? Listen, I'm a 65-year-old man. I don't know what any of that means. So you could do that and you could go print please enter a whole number. And now, if I type in a number, invalid literal, oh, please enter a whole, oh, okay, that helps me a lot. So this allows you, yes, could you do this with a while loop? Kind of. You would have to determine, what can I do with an integer that I can't do with a string without causing an error?
Like doing mathematical things to like dividing them multiplying.
You could do something that was like user is hello, because I don't want to keep writing it in. While user I was gonna try to do greater than or less than. That only works if it's a number. I don't know. How do you guys? Can you guys think of something?
Could you do it greater than like to like ASCII value?
Yeah. But what would my greater than be?
What are you trying to do?
I'm trying to figure out, is there a way that I can use a while validation loop to make sure they're typing in a number and not a string?
Was it what I was saying earlier or no?
Well, I could. Wait, what?
You want to use try and accept?
I could. Well, that's what we're learning. I want you to do that, but I want you guys to see why we would do try and accept and not just use a while loop. Because can you think of something, a while validation loop, that would allow me to determine whether or not someone's typed in a integer or a string?
Yeah, while user is not equal type string.
All right. So let's just do hello. I was gonna do something else. While user doesn't equal type str, like that.
Yeah, and then yeah, you should go after that.
Why are you putting str in?
Because that's what he said to do.
No, wait, that's wait, that's right. Now it's going to that. But also,
What?
so no, it wouldn't be in quotations though. String.
So what do I do?
You just do str as by itself.
Like this?
No, okay, so here. Erase.
Just say it. So while what?
User
Okay.
apostrophe or exclamation mark equals space parentheses S T R delete button and parentheses. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, something's wrong. You're close. So what I would do is we want to know if the type
Type.
of user is str.
I think it's working. Well, do while user
Well, no, it's because what is the default for input?
string.
So no matter what, I'm going to type in a string.
So it works better when for integers. I guess it doesn't work.
Right, but then if I go, well, all right, well, let me integerize. Can I user equals int user? So let's integerize whatever they type in. That should work.
Not like that.
Because if they type in a 10,
But no, but then it would be an error.
you see why we would use try and accept? Try this. If this doesn't work, tell them to do it over again. And until they typed in what I wanted them to do. So yes, a while validation loop is very good for, I want you to type in a number between 5 and 10. As long as what you type in is in between 5 and 10, we're good. If it doesn't, this is to make sure that the type of input is the type that we want. Because if I were to go to an ATM and type in my PIN, and I only had 4 spaces, and they say type in your PIN, and so I start typing in, like I'm trying to type in letters, the letter 1, or the number 1 has 3 letters. So it's making sure, and granted, I know on a phone or a PIN pad, you only have 9 buttons, I get that. But the concept is, I want you to type in numbers and not letters. In a video game, I want you to type in your name. I don't want any letters in it. So I'm going to force you to type in only letters. I'm going to force you in a password. Right? We're going to make sure that you type in a couple letters, couple numbers, couple symbols. No spaces. Yes?
You make it so that it just ignores it and type in like a letter on the keyboard and then only.
Well, you guys want to see something crazy?
Yeah.
So this is going to start my ethics talk. So I now have a never-ending loop. How do we stop never-ending loops?
Control C. Oh, you're gonna disable the Control C, right?
Why do that?
You guys see why and how I'd be able to do that, right?
Why do that?
Except keyboard for that.
You said that.
Oh yeah, except has to do with try, right?
Oh, yeah, I screwed that up. You guys caught that one good. What? I thought I had 7 more minutes. I hate this schedule.
I thought you did that.
Can't even see that you guys are, you can just barely see it.
Yeah, you can't do it.
So we will start with ethics on what we're learning in this class
Oh,
on Wednesday. Because, one, you guys will be able to write things like this. And now the only way to end this is to do that.
Too.
You said like,
What?
Can you disable that too?
No, no, I don't think so. I don't know how to. If you can, I don't know how.
Oh, wasn't that a thing in Pi game? Where if you don't
Yeah, like,
Yeah, you can.
remember you couldn't close the window?
Yeah?
you didn't code in Excel.
No, you could always close the shell. You couldn't close the Pygame window.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
I remember that.
So, homework. I don't have anything ready for you. So, because I thought we were gonna get a little further in this. Yeah, so just come ready for in-class work on Wednesday. After we talk about some ethics, I'll talk about a little bit more that you can do with try and accept, and then you'll have some in-class work on Wednesday.
What do you mean by ethics?
What things you'll learn in this class could break your computer. So, and you could try to be funny and put it on a USB stick. So, anyway, have a great day. See you all Wednesday.